Πόσοι από εσάς γνωρίζετε αρχαία ελληνικά? Χέρια. Οι μαθητές μας. Εσύ δεν μετράς. Οι μαθητές μας κυρίως. Πολύ χαίρομαι. Πόσοι από εσάς πιστεύετε ότι τα αρχαία ελληνικά είναι άχρηστα? Πόσοι από εσάς έχετε φίλους στο εξωτερικό που μιλάνε αρχαία ελληνικά, ενώ είναι ξένοι, γνωρίζουν την αρχαία ελληνική ιστορία καλύτερα από εσάς και όταν έρχονται στην Ελλάδα, τρέχουν στα μουσεία, διαβάζουν επιγραφές και εσείς από μέσα σας σκέφτεστε ότι ντρέπομαι που αυτοί είναι ξένοι και γνωρίζουν αρχαία ελληνικά και ιστορία και τον πολιτισμό μου καλύτερα από μένα. Έτσι δεν είναι? Ξέρετε κάτι, τα καλά νέα είναι ότι δεν φταίτε εσείς γι' αυτό. Το εκπαιδευτικό σύστημα στην Ελλάδα, ειδικά όσον αφορά τη διδασκαλία των αρχαίων ελληνικών, πάσχει. Πάσχει σε δομή, πάσχει σε μεταδοτικότητα, κυρίως όμως πάσχει σε όραμα. Τα παιδιά στην Ευρώπη διδάσκονται αρχαία ελληνικά στο γυμνάσιο και το λύκειο, αλλά τα διδάσκονται με ένα τελείως διαφορετικό τρόπο. Αυτή τη στιγμή που μιλάμε, εκατοντάδες χιλιάδες παιδιά στην Ευρώπη μαθαίνουν αρχαία ελληνικά στο σχολείο τους. Τα αρχαία ελληνικά, για όσους δεν γνωρίζετε, είναι ένα μάθημα επιλογής και τα παιδιά επιλέγουν στο γυμνάσιο μεταξύ αυτών και των λατινικών. Και σε πολλά σχολεία στην Ευρώπη, τα λατινικά, ενώ είναι πιο εύκολα, τα παιδιά επιλέγουν τα αρχαία ελληνικά και τα αρχαία ελληνικά υπερτερούν των λατινικών. Παρόλο που, επαναλαμβάνω, στις περισσότερες χώρες της Ευρώπης, αν όχι σε όλες, τα λατινικά είναι μια πιο προσφυλής γλώσσα και τα παιδιά τα μαθαίνουν πολύ πιο εύκολα. Στην Ελληνική Αγωγή πριν από λίγες εβδομάδες προσκαλέσαμε και φιλοξενήσαμε 10 παιδιά από το Βέλγιο. Ήταν παιδιά τα οποία διακρίθηκαν στο διαγωνισμό των αρχαίων ελληνικών που γίνεται εκεί εδώ και 30 χρόνια. Στο σχολείο από το οποίο μας ήρθαν τα παιδιά διδάσκονται τα αρχαία ελληνικά από τον πρώτο χρόνο λειτουργίας τους, από το 1830. Και όταν τα παιδιά ρωτούν τους καθηγητές σε τι θα μας χρησιμεύσουν τα αρχαία ελληνικά, η απάντηση που παίρνουν είναι σε όλα. Βλέπετε εκεί διδάσκουν τα αρχαία ελληνικά σαν να είναι μια σύγχρονη γλώσσα, σαν να είναι η βάση των γλωσσών που μαθαίνουν εκεί. Και όντως είναι έτσι. Και θεωρούν ότι τα αρχαία ελληνικά είναι η βάση του δυτικού πολιτισμού. Στην Ελληνική Αγωγή διδάσκουμε αρχαία ελληνικά στα παιδιά ήδη από 3 ετών. Τα παιδιά έρχονται από τόσο νωρίς και μαθαίνουν αρχαία ελληνικά και πολλοί μας ρωτούν «Μα δεν είναι δύσκολα τα αρχαία ελληνικά για ένα παιδί 3 χρονών?» Ίσα-ίσα είναι πολύ πιο εύκολα από τα αγγλικά, τα οποία τείνουμε όλοι να διδάσκουμε στα παιδιά τα πρώτα χρόνια της ζωής τους. Τα αγγλικά έχουν πάρα πολύ μεγάλη χρησιμότητα, πιστέψτε με, μιλώ αρκετές γλώσσες, τα αγαπώ, τα λατρεύω. Γεια σας, καλώς ήρθατε. Καλώς ήρθατε, καθίστε, συγγνώμη. Καλά, μια χαρά εσείς. Μην με παρεξηγείτε, αγαπώ πάρα πολύ τις ξένες γλώσσες, μιλώ κι εγώ αρκετές. Η βάση όμως ήταν και παραμένει η διδασκαλία των αρχαίων ελληνικών που έτυχε και εγώ να λάβω στην Ελληνική Αγωγή πριν από μερικά χρόνια. Η αλήθεια είναι ότι τα παιδιά μαθαίνουν με πολύ ευχάριστο, απλό και χαρούμενο τρόπο τα αρχαία ελληνικά. Και στην Ελληνική Αγωγή, εδώ και 25 χρόνια, έχουμε δημιουργήσει τις κατάλληλες συνθήκες και το ιδανικό περιβάλλον, ώστε τα παιδιά να διδάσκονται τα αρχαία ελληνικά ευχάριστα. Και μάλιστα έρχονται με τόση μεγάλη χαρά τις Παρασκευές και τα Σάββατα που τα έχουμε κοντά μας, ώστε πολλές φορές οι γονείς μας ρωτούν εάν όντως μέσα στις αίθουσες τους κάνουμε αρχαία. Βλέπετε, υπάρχει τρόπος και τρόπος. Πώς γίνεται? Γίνεται. Αυτή ήταν και η φράση που έγινε αφορμή για να γνωρίσω τον Peter Economides. Σήμερα εδώ θα μάθουμε τι σχέση έχει η διαφήμιση με τη ρητορική του Αριστοτέλη. Γιατί όπως και εμείς στην Ελληνική Αγωγή, έτσι και ο Πίτερ, έτσι πιστεύω και όλοι εσείς που είστε σήμερα εδώ, ξέρετε το πόσο πολύ μας βοηθάει η γνώση του παρελθόντος για να πάμε πιο μπροστά στο μέλλον. Και έτσι η γνώση της ιστορίας και του πολιτισμού δεν μας πηγαίνει απλά πίσω για να μας καθυστερήσει, αλλά για να μας δώσει φόρα, ώστε να πάμε ακόμα πιο γρήγορα, ακόμα πιο ψηλά. Σας ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ που είστε σήμερα εδώ. Σας καλωσορίζω στη σημερινή ομιλία. Ευχαριστώ πολύ. Πίτερ, σε ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ. Παρακαλώ πολύ ένα θερμό χειροκρότημα για τον Peter Economide που μας κάνει πολύ μεγάλη τιμή. Είναι σήμερα εδώ κοντά μας και είστε όλοι πολύ τυχεροί που είστε εδώ και το παρακολουθείτε. Ευχαριστούμε πολύ.
Ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ. Εγώ ντρέπομαι. Όχι επειδή δεν μιλάω αρχαία ελληνικά. Δεν μιλάω ελληνικά πολύ καλά. Και γι' αυτό σήμερα, συγγνώμη, αλλά θα μιλήσω στα αγγλικά. Χίλια συγγνώμη. Καταρχάς θέλω να πω πως είναι μεγάλη μου τιμή να είμαι εδώ. Ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ, Ευγενία, που μου έχεις δώσει την ευκαιρία να μιλήσω με τους ανθρώπους εδώ σήμερα, φίλους και καινούριους φίλους. Ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ για αυτό. Αυτό εδώ είναι... Μιλάω ελληνικά. Αυτό εδώ είναι μια πίνακα που κάποιος που είχε δει ορισμένες από τις ομιλίες μου είχε φτιάξει και μου το έστειλε. Και έχει πολλά στοιχεία μέσα από τις ομιλίες μου. Το γίνεται, το Apple, ο σκύλος μου εκεί μπροστά. Αλλά εκεί δεξιά έχει μια περίεργη σαλάτα που είναι μια σαλάτα με μπατζούρια. Γιατί αυτό είχα παραγγείλει μια φορά. Ευτυχώς δεν είχανε. Λοιπόν, λίγο από την ιστορία μου. Εγώ γεννήθηκα στην Νότια Αφρική. Η γιαγιά μου, που είναι η κύρια δεξιά σε αυτή τη φωτογραφία, έφυγε από την Ήμβρο το 1922 και πήγε στην Νότια Αφρική. Δίπλα της είναι η μητέρα μου. Η μητέρα την έχασα πριν 2 χρόνια, ήταν 92 χρονών σε ηλικία και εκεί είναι, ξέρω εγώ, 3-4 χρονών maximum. Και δίπλα, από πίσω από τη μαμά μου, είναι ο παππούς μου. Πήγαν στην Νότια Αφρική, μερικά χρόνια αργότερα, ο παππούς μου άνοιξε την πρώτη του δουλειά. Και δεν ξέρω αν ήταν έξυπνο branding, ή απλώς έχει χάσει το δρόμο του, αλλά του είπε The Australian Cash Store, στη μέση της Αφρικής. Λοιπόν, αυτή ήταν η πρώτη του επιχείρηση, μπακάλικο ήτανε και πήγε πάρα πολύ καλά. Πολλές φορές σκέφτομαι πώς θα ήταν να φύγεις από την Ήμβρο χωρίς φράγκο και να πάρεις μια απόφαση να πας στην Αφρική το 1922. Χωρίς να ξέρεις τι θα βρεις εκεί. Και αν δεν σου αρέσει, tough luck. Αυτό είναι. Αυτό είναι. Λοιπόν, με ένα όνομα σαν το δικό μου, σπούδασα οικονομολόγος, φυσικά, αλλά το βρήκα με το marketing. Ο πατέρας μου ήθελε να δουλεύω για αυτόν, ήθελε να είμαι ο διαδοχός του, πήγε αυτός πάρα πολύ καλά εκεί. Και μια μέρα θυμάμαι, είχα μια κουβέντα μαζί του και τον είπα, μπαμπά, δεν είναι αυτό που θέλω να κάνω. Μου λέει, τι θέλεις να κάνεις? Και τον λέω, θέλω να είμαι a big deal on Madison Avenue. Μου κοιτάει και μου λέει, πού το διάλογο είναι αυτό? Τον εξηγώ για Madison Avenue, Νέα Υόρκη, επίκεντρο της διαφήμισης κτλ. Μου κοιτάει με ένα χαμόγελο από εδώ μέχρι εκεί και μου είπε, δείξ' τους ποιοι είμαστε. Και με έδωσε φτερά να πάω να κάνω πράγματα. Έφυγα από τη Νότια Αφρική και δούλεψα καταρχάς για μια αμερικάνικη εταιρεία στην Νότια Αφρική, στη διαφήμιση, McCann-Erickson. Μετά πήγα Χονγκ Κονγκ, ήρθα εδώ στην Ελλάδα. Μετά πήγα Μεξικό και έφτασα στο Madison Avenue. Εκεί ήμουνα Executive Vice President της McCann-Erickson Worldwide. Υπεύθυνος κύριος για το λογαριασμό της Coca-Cola παγκοσμίως. Και έφυγα από εκεί και πήγα σε μια άλλη εταιρεία που λέγεται TBWA, που ιδρύθηκε από ένας Έλληνας από την Καλαμάτα, ο Bill Tragos, ένας τρελός, απίστευτος Έλληνας. Μια φανταστική εταιρεία, υπεύθυνη για την Absolut Vodka, για Bayersdorf, για Henkel, για Nissan, Sony Playstation και για Apple. Θα μιλήσω λίγο για Apple σήμερα, επειδή για μένα είναι παράδειγμα προς ακολούθηση. Is that correct? Yeah? That's pretty good. Wow. I came back to Greece in 1999 and I started my own company here called Felix B&I. It's a brand strategy consultancy. I consult with companies on brand. I am based in Athens, but I work around the world. And I must say the pull of Greece was too much. There's no way I was going to stay in New York. As Goethe said, of all people, the Greeks have dreamt the dream of life best. And those are big words coming from a German. Anybody tell me what that is? It's called a googol, and apparently it's the biggest number that we can imagine. And that is the inspiration for that brand, Google. Okay? Now, that brand has become a verb in just about every language around the world. We Google something. Or in Greece, googlareto. To googlarisες. Here's the original Apple computer logo. And look at what it says on it. Newton, a mind forever voyaging through strange seas of thought alone. Sounds like a couple of guys on the beach in California smoking dope every day and playing around with electronics. Well, that's exactly what it was. A couple of years later, they changed the logo to that. And in 1997, they changed again to that. Now, Apple is a very stupid name for a computer company. Can you imagine if we were discussing opening up a new computer company and I said to you, let's call it Banana? You'd say he's nuts. It's not a very good name for a computer company. But brand is not about name and it's not about logo. It's about something else. Shakespeare said it. A rose by any other name would smell as sweet. It's not the name rose that makes it a rose. It's what the rose is that makes it a rose. The world's best brands. Every year, a company called Interbrand does a list of the top brands in the world, and they measure the power of brands and they put financial value to it. Okay? And this becomes the standard for judging the world's best brands. Here's the list for the year 2000. Number 1, Coca-Cola, no big surprise. Number 2, Microsoft. Number 3, IBM. Here's the list for 2018. By the way, the scaling is accurate. Number 1, Apple. Number 2, Google. Number 3, Amazon. Number 4, Microsoft. Number 5, Coca-Cola. And IBM has slipped all the way down. I found a fascinating little piece of animation the other day which just shows how this has progressed. Look at this. That's quite remarkable. That's quite remarkable. And look at the value of the Apple brand, 214 billion. Number 2, Google. Number 3, Amazon, which just shot up in recent years. Now that's interesting. Here are 3 home assistants, these devices that you can put in your home and you just ask it questions and you get answers. I'm sure you guys know about it. Or you ask it to play music and it plays music for you. Okay? All 3 companies have launched one. That's Apple on this side, that is Google's in the middle, and that is Amazon's on the right. And the question is, which will you buy? Apple, Google, or Amazon? It comes down to one simple point. We believe good men more fully and more readily than others. This is true generally, whatever the question is, and absolutely true, where exact certainty is impossible and opinions are divided. Who said that? Aristotle. We believe good men when opinions are divided. That's the power of brand. That is called ethos, character. Apple. Apple's something I know well. We all know Apple well. We can relate to it. So I'm going to illustrate a few points using Apple as an example. In 1997, I was in the fortunate position of working with my friend Bill Tragos at TBWA, and I was invited to attend a meeting at Apple's headquarters in California. I went over and I met with Steve Jobs, and my job was to convince him that we were the right ad agency to manage the global relaunch of Apple. At the time, Apple was bankrupt. It was 1997. Steve Jobs had just returned as the CEO. I remember that conversation vividly. 3 things that I remember. Number 1, he said to me, let's make a dent on the universe. Not let's sell more computers, not let's fix this bankrupt company. Let's make a dent on the universe. A huge objective. The second thing I remember, good enough is not good enough. Αρκετά καλά δεν είναι αρκετά. Εδώ λέμε κάτι άλλο. Φτάνει ρε εσύ, φτάνει. Good enough is not good enough. The third thing, a computer should be like a bicycle for the human mind. When you look at it, you understand what it does. When you get on it, you know exactly how to work it. It's easy to learn, and you never forget. Following that meeting, about a month later, we launched a new film for Apple. I call it a manifesto film. It's an ethos film, and I'm going to show it to you. I want you to notice a couple of things. Number 1, there's not a single computer in this commercial. Not a single computer. In fact, the word computer is not used. The word technology is not used. Have a look at this.
Here's to the crazy ones. The misfits. The rebels. The troublemakers. The round pegs in the square holes. The ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them, but the only thing you can't do is ignore them. Because they change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
The people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. I remind you, the company was bankrupt. 17 years later, less than that, 12 years later, it became the world's most valuable company ever. And you saw what happened to the value of the Apple brand. It was bankrupt in 1997. Did you notice Maria Callas inside the movie? Every single person in that movie was a hero, a personal hero of Steve Jobs, including Maria Callas. It was on this ethos that the company started doing things. There were no new products when this appeared. Nothing. And they started to express this ethos in everything they did, expressed through design and technology, through architecture, through people, the famous genius bars. We can ask any question you like about equipment, how to use it, software. Through community, seminars on how to use new software, how to use new hardware, things you can do with a Mac. Everything they did was based on this ethos. Absolutely everything. The result is that. That's a queue outside the London store with the launch of the iPhone 5, where people are waiting in line to be the first to get it. With pathos. With pathos. And look at this. This guy has managed to be among the first. Look at that expression. He goes home and he makes an unboxing video. Anybody seen these unboxing videos? They're ridiculous. Somebody opening up a box. But you know something? 12.5 million views. 12.5 million views. Steve Jobs famously used to say, people don't know what they want until you show it to them. And it echoes what Henry Ford said. If I'd asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. Steve Jobs would never research what consumers wanted. He would anticipate what consumers would respond to. Do you remember this? The iPod? 1,000 songs in your pocket. I didn't know I wanted 1,000 songs in my pocket. But when I saw it, wow, I wanted it. I really wanted it. If he'd asked me what I wanted, I would have said smaller CDs, please. Aristotle. Ethos, logos, pathos, and finally, keros, egira pramata. And these are the 4 principles of rhetoric. By the way, I'm not a philosopher, I'm a brand guy. But this stuff is exactly what brand is all about. Ethos, logos, pathos, keros. Doing things with the right timing for the right people. That creates human connection, very powerful human connection, which leads to loyalty, which creates sustainable growth, which allows multiple transactions over time. I own every one of those machines and I can't wait for the next one to come out. It also creates multiple transactions across categories. iMac, I've got one. iPod, I used to have one. iTunes, I use it. iPhone, I use the App Store. I've got an iPad. I've got a MacBook. In fact, that's what I'm using right now. I use iCloud. I've got an Apple TV. I've got an Apple Watch. I use Apple Pay. And if they launch a refrigerator, I'm buying one. And if they launch a motor car, we'll all go and have a look at it. Isn't this exactly what a powerful country needs? Is the ability to do transactions across so many different categories instead of being confined into one? That's exactly what Apple managed to achieve. Your work is a megaphone for what you believe. And in the case of Apple, that's what they believe. The people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. And what comes out of that megaphone is everything that they do. Because I remind you, especially in today's world, everything communicates. What you do, what you don't do, what you say, and what you don't say. And that has to be guided by ethos. Otherwise, you do just anything. Aristotle again said it all. We are what we consistently do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. In other words, that megaphone is called ethos, and that provides the guide for logos. What you do, what you don't do, what you say, and what you don't say. But the guide to all of this is your ethos. Rhetoric. Ethos, logos, pathos, keros. All of it tied together. And that works perfectly when you start thinking about brand. Brand rhetoric is about ethos, logos, pathos, keros. Ethos, your purpose, your belief, your values, your character. Logos, what you do and don't do, what you say and don't say. Pathos, the reaction you evoke, the connection you make on an emotional level. And finally, keros, timeliness, being eggero, timeliness. And what that gives you is consistency, because building a powerful brand needs consistency. You can't be all over the place. It provides you with agility, and today's world demands agility. You have to be able to respond to changing situations. It gives you the emotional connection, because without that, there's nothing. And of course, it gives you relevance if you follow keros. Very simple model. A couple of 1,000 years old. It's quite remarkable. It's quite remarkable. Think different. Great ethos. That's Apple. The best or nothing. Mercedes-Benz. Starbucks, inspired moments. They don't talk about making the world's best coffee. They talk about creating inspired moments in everybody's day. Nike, find your greatness, just do it. Afidea, this is a healthcare company which I did the relaunch on a couple of years ago. It used to be known as Euromedic. Very simple ethos. Nothing is more important than health. If you think about countries, Switzerland, precision. Italy, style. Greece? Yes, plus, what else? People, what else? Pathos, what else? History, what else? Passion, what else? Enotita. There's a lot of words, huh? We need to wrap this up. We need to wrap it up. Let me give you some thoughts on this. Let's just look at Greece for a second. That over there was a gift from my dear friend Kosti. Where is Kosti? From my dear friend Kostis Frangoulis. One day I was in my apartment, this huge removal van pulled up, and out came this big, big package. And I unwrapped it, and it was this incredible painting, which to me is Greece crying. It's unbelievable. By an artist called Caroline Rovisi. I absolutely love it. Kosti, thank you so much for giving that to me. We've had 10 years of crisis. 10 years of crisis. But it's not 10 years. It's a lifetime for a whole bunch of kids. Kids who know nothing but crisis. Think about it. It's a very, very sad thing. They didn't see 2004. They didn't witness the football team coming back from Lisbon. They didn't see the Olympic Games. All they've seen is crisis. And the kind of narrative they've been exposed to is actually really sad. In 2010, Valéry Giscard d'Estaing made the following statement. He said, Europe without Greece is like a child without a birth certificate. Which I think is absolutely true. Absolutely true. A couple of months later, look at that. The German magazine Focus. Fraudsters in the Euro family. Fraudsters. Look at that. Brilliant piece of art direction, I must say. Libération in France. A blue cover with one word in Greek characters. House. Brilliant, but not if you Greek. I was on a tube in London and I saw that. Most Germans own a second property. It's called Greece. Very clever headline, but it hurts like hell. It really hurts. This over here is the 2011 G20 meeting, and I want you just to observe a bit the body language at that table. Look at George Papandreou. Look at this side. It's very telling. It's very telling. And the French Minister for European Affairs had made that statement a few weeks before that. Greece is something we can live without. And a few weeks later, on Facebook, I received the following message. As a Greek, I need to say that I'm Greek and not be ashamed of the bad comments I hear behind my back. Please do something to restore the hurt name of every Greek who respects himself and his country and always did. I have a need to restore my name as a Greek immediately because the restoration of our living standards and a lot of other things will take longer. And she signed it, Sofia Dimitriadou, a proud Greek. That's very smart stuff that she wrote. Very smart stuff. And this is true. What the world feels and thinks about you depends on what you feel and think about yourself. And if you're a young girl and all you've seen is that negative messaging, how do you feel? How do you feel about yourself? And I want to focus a bit on that. What Greeks feel and think about themselves. There's a movie coming out soon which I hope you'll all go and see. It's by a young Greek-Canadian film director called Panayotis Yanitsos. It's called Freedom Besieged, and it looks at Greek identity. What the world feels and thinks about you depends on what you feel and think about yourself. And if you don't feel good, if you don't know who you are, how on earth can you possibly express who you are? Ethos, logos. There's a problem. And this is what I spoke about back in 2011 in Thessaloniki, when I gave a talk, and I said that there's nothing wrong with the brand Greece. It's perfect. It's one of the best brands in the world. The problem is the brand Greeks. It's what we feel and think about ourselves, not about the country in which we live. All-time classic. Sorry, guys, that goes back to the past. It's got nothing for the future. As Peter Economides said in that movie, when I think about Greece, what should I think about besides olive oil, beaches, and Socrates? It's got to be something more than that. He's absolutely right. This has been the narrative over the past 10 years. 10 years, I remind you. This economic crisis is a social crisis. It's an identity crisis. It's a crisis of confidence. It's a how I feel about myself kind of crisis. And that makes it a future crisis. They will create their own future. Either like that, by moving to New York or London or Berlin, or like that, and we saw some of that happening during the past years, or like that. But they will create their own future. But I see other stuff happening. I see amazing things happening in Greece right now, with young kids like this getting up and doing things. Amazing things. I don't know if you came across this article recently in the New York Times with the headline, Athens Rising. The city has endured crisis and chaos and yet is now emerging from the wreckage as one of Europe's most vibrant and significant cultural capitals. Huge article in the New York Times a couple of months ago. And by the way, there are many other articles like this appearing. There's a buzz happening about Athens. That's the photograph that accompanied that article. They spoke about the Niarchos Center as the new Acropolis for the contemporary Athens. Interesting. And this is some words from that article. In so many ways, they say, Athens feels more alive, more culturally prolific than ever. And it's hard to understand how this could have happened in the midst of the worst economic catastrophe in the history of the European Union. Yes, it's amazing. There are incredible things happening in Athens today. And it reminds me of something that I wrote back in 1992, which was a campaign for Greece tourism with the title Chosen by the Gods. And one of the ads was this, and it said, "Thank God she left the light on." And yes, we have got the light on in Greece. Yes, we have. I like to think of this crisis as a rope. A rope is a very strong thing, but it's just lots of strands woven together that makes it strong. And if those strands start to break, it becomes very weak. And I think that's a good way to look at the past 10 years. 10 broken years. We need to reconnect the past with the future. Evgenia said it. If you don't understand your past, it's very difficult to illuminate your future. But I'm always reminded of something else that somebody else said. This is Steve Squeri, who's the CEO of American Express. He says, respect the past, enhance it, but don't preserve it. All-time classic? I don't think so. I don't think so. But I do think we've got so much richness in the past that we can take forward with us in creating a new future. There's a great article that I came across called Athens in Pieces, The Art of Memory by a guy called Simon Crutchley. And I want to quote a couple of things from there. He says, in order to recall something, one has to identify a locus either in the interior palace of one's memory or by constructing an exterior physical memory theater. He goes on to say, various attempts to build such memory theaters punctuate antiquity. It is a practice picked up again in the Italian Renaissance and continued into the architecture of Elizabethan theatre, like Shakespeare's Globe and beyond. So this whole notion of a memory theatre, okay, a place where you invoke memories. By the way, I see you nodding your head. I saw earlier what you were speaking. It's about this, memory theatre. He says something else. By looking into the past, we can see further and more clearly into the present and the future. That's exactly what you were saying, Evgenia. This over here, a journalist wrote that in 2004. And to me, it's remarkable. That was real memory theater. That opening ceremony was unbelievable. And what this journalist wrote is this: the most beautiful and moving opening ceremony in Olympic history. This spectacular event told the story of a country steeped in pride for its remarkable cultural heritage. A country which has made an incredible contribution to modern civilization. The ceremony captured the Greek joy of life, the soul, heart, and spirit of a newly transformed modern nation. And it closed by saying it gave vision for the future. It gave Greece a role in the modern world. That's unbelievable. 2004. Understanding the past, which informs the present and illuminates the future, connecting the past, the present, and the future.
I was born in Alexandria in 1873, a Greek by origin, an optimist, an avid admirer of my homeland, a country with a long, turbulent past, a country that has never ceased to fight for its survival. And if my ancestors defined themselves by their quest for immortality, I followed their example by dedicating my life to the safeguarding of our heritage. I founded the Benaki Museum, where works sealed with the blessing of the human spirit would be committed to posterity. It was others who wrote these words. Who could ever talk this way about oneself? I dare say I have never been alone. My family inspired in me the principles of belonging, of sharing. Sharing became my life's primordial mission. I collected and exhibited rare treasures of Hellenic and world art in order to save them from oblivion. In the house which our father had bequeathed to us in Athens, and which, together with my siblings, we donated to the Greek state. The house in which my heart lies immured today. It's tradition in our land for those who are able to make a gift of any surplus. Year of establishment, 1931, Gumbari Street, Athens. Construction begins in order to turn our family house into a museum. Greek art, classical, Byzantine, contemporary, but also Islamic and Chinese art, never before exhibited in our country. Our priority was the museum's educational mission, but also the creation of an environment that would inspire a sense of intimacy in our visitor. Always at my side, besides my family, was a large segment of the Athenian and European intelligentsia. Our common interest was the appreciation of culture and the survival of memory. At times when the country was threatened, as were its assets, at times of precipitous social and political changes, I would like to believe that the Benaki Museum has functioned as a Noah's Ark. The ark that is the Benaki Museum has survived to this day, disseminating our resilient Greek spirit. For the last 50 years, it's been expanding, multiplying like a live organism, with more arks added constantly, nested in the Athenian urban fabric. Thanks to all of you who have stood here by our side, then and now. I left this world in 1954. I left, but you know I'm still and forever here. Like the young boy, Trelentonis, the hero of my sister Penelope's book, I will always be carrying all kinds of treasures in my overflowing pockets. Our land is full of treasures. Let's not forget this. Together, we are the Banaka Museum. My museum. Our museum.
Our land is full of treasures. Let's not forget this. By the way, that movie, a museum is, I guess, the ultimate memory theater. That movie was made a couple of years ago when I did some work with the Benaki. A result of that work, we opened up a branch in Melbourne, in Sydney, which was voted the best new museum in Australia for the year 2016. I've shown this movie to a lot of audiences around the world, and I can tell you the reaction's unbelievable. It's really unbelievable. Really unbelievable. But I want to stay here. Our land is full of treasures. Let's not forget this. One of those treasures, the Greek Mediterranean diet. I don't know if you've come across this guy called Stamatis Moraitis. Greek-American. He was, I think, in Iowa or Ohio, one of the states in the middle of America. In 1976, he was diagnosed with cancer. And his doctor said to him, "You've got 6 months to live. And you have to do chemotherapy." And he said, "Forget about that, I'm going back to Greece." He came back to where he came from, the island of Ikaria. He died 2 years ago at the age of 105, without doing a single minute of chemotherapy. That's a treasure. That's a treasure. Come home to the Greek diet, an agora dedicated to food, passion, joy, and well-being. I'm very proud to be one of the co-founders, along with Aris Kefalogiannis, who's with us this evening, of this incredible project, which is in the Arsaki building just down the road from here, where we're going to turn the Arsaki building, we're going to do a renaissance on the Arsaki building and turn that into a food hall dedicated to the Greek Mediterranean diet. Shop in shop, small producers, wine tastings, olive oil tastings, cooking lessons, dietary advice, you name it. A complete experience, a memory theater about what Greek food is really all about. I'm sure you all know the building, but just as a reminder, that's it. It's gorgeous. It's a gem. It's a jewel. It's a treasure. A real treasure. A real treasure. And our objective is big. We want this to be the second most visited tourist destination in Athens. That's a big goal. I think it's doable. Number one, obviously, is the Acropolis. I was interviewed by a journalist from Süddeutsche Zeitung a couple of years ago. And in the middle of this interview, he says to me, "Are Greeks Europeans?" And I said to myself, what on earth is this guy asking me? Where does he come from? But I thought about it a bit. And I realized that what he was really asking me was this. What role do Greeks play in the world today? My answer: we will never be good Germans. But we must become exceptional Greeks. We must become exceptional Greeks. And I wrote a narrative about what I think the ethos of Greece should be. And I want to share it with you. To me, it centers on one word: life. Life. This is what defines the Greeks. It always has and it always will. A respect for life gave rise to democracy. The meaning of life gave rise to philosophy. Saving life gave rise to medicine. The beauty of life is expressed in sculpture. The dilemmas of life are played out in theater. The love of life is at the heart of what we do. And if we lose this love, we lose life. We lose ourselves. Because this is what makes us who we are. It's how we wake up each morning, with the love of life. Life. This is Greek know-how. And when we utilize this know-how, we transform it into creative enterprise to be valued by the world. The know-how of life, the love of life, it's for life, it's forever. Of course, in English, it's for life. It's got two meanings. Είναι για τη ζωή, είναι για μια ζωή. The love of life, it's for life, it's forever. And I think that perhaps this is the ethos that we're looking for. Life, the love of life. So that we can apply that and let it guide us in what we do. With tourism, with investment, with industry, with technology, with shipping, with film. And of course with gastronomy. And whatever else it is that we do. I was talking to a gentleman earlier who's doing work with NASA. I love it. Greeks and the space program, I love it. I love it. There's a company up in Alexandroupoli called Prisma Electronics, which is supplying NASA with computer chips. Am I right? Computer boards. But that should also be able to apply to mattresses, jewelry, olive oil, energy, wine, etc., etc., etc. Education. Forgive me for leaving that one out. Evgenia. Sorry? Art and philosophy. There are tons. Everything. But I think there's one common word. The love of life. And I want to show you how this starts to work. It's for life. Greece. There's that beautiful image I showed you earlier. Love life, love dreams. Of all people, the Greeks have dreamt the dream of life best. Goethe. From that, we can go directly to mattresses. Love life, love dreams. Cocomat, mattresses from all natural materials. Love life, love perfect. That's the most incredible building. I wanted to be an architect when I was a kid, and when I just look at that building, I just go nuts. Love perfect, Crocus by Cooper, architecture in jewelry, inspired by the plan of the Parthenon. There's somebody actually making jewelry like that. Love Yaya. Love Gaia. Aris, this is for you. That's a gorgeous bottle. Love energy, the energy of Delphus. Love energy, renewable energy. Love Malagousia. I've done a lot of work with Vangelis Yerovasilio, and we have done a lot of work in promoting his wines in the United States. And when I first met Vangelis, he said to me, I think we need to change the label because people can't pronounce my name. I said, leave it, they'll learn. He said, what about ktima? Maybe we should say domain or estate. I said, no. Tima, leave it. And we started promoting his wines in New York. And about a year ago, a wine critic from GQ made the following statement. He said, "Don't bother pronouncing this name. Just drink the wine. You'll love it." By the way, that bottle of wine is selling in New York for $125 a bottle. Einstein said the following thing. He said, "The intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift." And I think it's so true. And I think especially in today's world where we're rushing with technology, if we forget the soft side, the human side of things, we're lost. I often talk about technology, which is how stuff works, and anthropology, which is how people work. We need techno-anthropology, which is how stuff works for people. And that needs an approach which has got the rational mind plus the intuitive mind. And I think this is the huge gift that we've got as Greeks. Because more than most nations, we understand the rational mind, we work with it, but we respect the intuitive mind. In other words, I'm talking about hard skills combined with soft skills, and they must be combined. And I'm talking about incredible words which exist almost exclusively in the Greek language, like philotimo, philoxenia, meraki, metro, anthropia, and kefi. And my favorite word of all, entheos. What a beautiful word. If you're English, if you don't understand the meaning of enthusiasm, it means nothing to you. If you're Greek, it's God inside. What an incredible word. It's a beautiful word. Entheos. Express God inside yourself. Beautiful. Kazantzakis, Zorba. Skills are cheap, but passion is priceless. I love that scene in the movie when Alan Bates goes up to Anthony Quinn and he says, "Teach me to dance." And he says, "Dance? Did you say dance? Come here, my boy." And he throws his jacket off and he teaches him how to dance. Skills are cheap, but passion is priceless. I'm very honored to be involved with a school in South Africa called Saheti. Some of you may have heard about it. You certainly have, Ina. It's the South African Hellenic Educational and Technical Institute. It's a private school. It's regarded as being one of the best private schools in South Africa. They don't just teach hard skills. They teach Greek soft skills. Let me show you something. That footage, by the way, Ina Taranto is here with us. She's responsible for that. I was the host, the guest host on a program which ran on ERT about South Africa, and we featured that school, on which I'm on the board of trustees of that school. That school was established by a remarkable guy called George Bezos from Koroni, Peloponnesus. Remarkable guy. He was the attorney to Nelson Mandela. That was his 90th birthday at the time. That was November of 2017. that we went down. And we're sitting in a room in the Apartheid Museum in Johannesburg, which is dedicated to George Bezos. Quite a remarkable guy. The entire country regards George Bezos as being the godfather of the modern South Africa. Very close friend and lawyer to Nelson Mandela. Right at that moment, you'll remember this, we were talking about this remarkable Greek word, philotimo. And we started realizing that there's a word with a similar meaning in the Zulu language, which is Ubuntu, which literally means, I am me because you are you. Which really stresses this incredible, profound sense of humanity, of life, philotimo. And we found it being expressed in a language in the middle of Africa, which was amazing. This was after seeing young kids dancing, the Kalamatiano, by the way, in the middle of Africa, including black kids and Indian kids and Italian kids and Jewish kids and Greek kids. It was remarkable, absolutely remarkable. In closing, Joseph, we were talking earlier about how Greece can and should be the west coast of Europe. The west coast of America represents the acme of creativity in America. Technology is rooted there. New ideas come out of there. The film industry is there. And if you look at California, it's got everything going for it. It's got lifestyle, it's got climate, it's got the sea, it's got everything going for it. Look at Greece. We can and we should be the west coast of Europe, the center of European creativity, attracting people from all over Europe here. And we can do it. I spoke about this idea once, and I spoke of it in terms of us becoming the apple of the Mediterranean. And this over here was written by Nick Malkoutsis from Kathimerini, and he said, Greece is the apple of the Mediterranean. It's a crazy idea. In fact, it's an idea that is just about crazy enough to succeed. That, to me, that's my dream. We should be the west coast of Europe.
Thank you so much. Oh my God, this was even better than what I expected. Thank you. Thank you. Σας ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ. Take your time. Yes, he's yours.
This, I can't tell you how much this means to me. Honestly, I can't tell you. So, Evgenia, thank you so much for having me here. Really, it's a great honor. And thank you all for being here. It's really fantastic. Really great. Thank you so much.
Και να φανταστείτε, δεν ήμασταν καν συνεννοημένοι. Και δεν χρειάζεται, γιατί όλοι εμείς που είμαστε σήμερα εδώ, όλοι, ένας προς έναν. Αυτό είναι το όραμά μας για την Ελλάδα. Αυτό είναι. Να γνωρίσουμε καλά την ιστορία μας και τον πολιτισμό μας και να πάμε μπροστά. Να πάρουμε φόρα για να πάμε ακόμα γρηγορότερα, ακόμα ψηλότερα. Σας ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ που είστε σήμερα εδώ. Να σας πω ότι ο κύριος Οικονομίδης μας έχει δώσει την άδεια για να ανεβάσουμε αυτή την ομιλία στο YouTube. Οπότε, εάν θέλετε να σας στείλουμε το σύνδεσμο, σας παρακαλώ πάρα πολύ, στην έξοδο φεύγοντας, εσείς που δεν μας γνωρίζετε και δεν είστε μαθητές μας, αφήστε μας το mail σας και το όνομά σας για να σας στείλουμε την ομιλία και τα key points της σημερινής βραδιάς. Σας ευχαριστούμε και πάλι που είστε σήμερα εδώ. Ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ την PeopleCert και την κυρία Νικολαίδου για όλη αυτή τη φανταστική υποδοχή. Ένα χειροκρότημα, παρακαλώ πάρα πολύ. Και πάλι σας ευχαριστώ. Ευχαριστώ πολύ τον Peter Economides. Ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ, Μαρία, για όλα. Καλό σας βράδυ. Χαίρομαι πάρα πολύ που είστε σήμερα εδώ. Σας ευχαριστούμε.